can't stop progress. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 2. Can you believe it? This is Progress with Parker Duque and friends. I'm Parker Duque. If you're watching this, you can see I'm in a different spot this week. I'm up in Michigan, God's country, the land of the giants. It's great to be back, even if it is still a little cold. I'm in Saugatuck for a couple days helping my mom get settled in. She comes up here a little earlier than we do to get a jump on her gardening. She's got a great sense of humor, and she is responsible for a couple of today's stories, including our That's Great story. If you remember, we're going to start each episode off with a That's Great story, something I heard or saw that I thought, that's great. And like I said, this one involves my mom. She's in her early 80s. She's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she's handling it like a champ. I was taking her to the pharmacy to get new medication, and when we parked, she asked me not to answer for her. And at first I felt bad because I do have a tendency to answer questions for her in her doctor's appointments, and she gets irritated. I'm trying not to do that anymore, but this was different. She said she wanted to tell a joke. Okay. She said, I'm gonna tell them I'm here for my Alzheimer's medicine, and then when they ask me my name, I'm gonna tell them I forgot. What do you think? Should I do it? Yes. Oh, Mom, you have to. You have to. So we got out of the car, and normally my mom is a very slow walker. I am a very fast walker. I am mindful to just cool my jets when we're together so that I can walk with her. She was so excited to tell her joke, I couldn't keep up with her. I had never seen her move that quick. It was very cute. She had her purse tucked under her arm like a football. I was kind of chasing her through the store. It was a first. I was afraid if I didn't hurry myself, I'd miss the delivery. She was cooking. By the time she got to the pharmacy counter, she had simplified the joke and all finesse was gone. She said, I'm here for my memory medicine. There were 3 people behind the counter. Crickets. Not one of them asked her name. In fairness to them, they were all working on some sort of task, and my mom kind of jumped the gun in her excitement. She looked over at me like, what are we going to do now? And I had no suggestions. I was bound to silence in this. I didn't want to mess anything up. So she announced again to the guy closest to her, I'm here for my memory medicine. And after a semi-awkward pause, he said very nicely, okay, did you call it in? The way it was already off the rails, I expected her to say that she forgot, and that would have been great too. But she said, yes, it should be ready, in like a disappointed voice. So I thought maybe it was off. But then he asked her, can I get the last name? You should have seen that frown turn upside down. She didn't even hesitate. I forgot. She and I were dying, but the pharmacist, more crickets. Not one of them laughed. It didn't matter. Mom and I thought it was the funniest thing going. She gave me a high five. She was very proud of herself. Come on, pharmacist. You have an elderly lady making lemonade out of lemons, and you can't rouse up a chuckle? In their defense, I'm sure they've heard that joke a billion times before, and they did eventually crack let's say, consolation smiles. And they were nice. But again, come on. Regardless of the Sourpuss Express, Mom and I thought it was great. Okay, the first episode isn't even officially out yet as of right now, but I've let friends take a look at it to give me feedback, and I got some ribbon, which is expected from this particular group, and welcome, but I got some ribbon concerning the comments I made about my appearance. A lot of agreement, thank you very little, and some compliments too. I promise you guys, I was not fishing for compliments, although I might start. I didn't know it would work. I'm joking. I'm just joking. Like I said, I'm married. My wife loves me. My self-esteem is intact. Thank you very much. But do not worry about me. Of course I care what I look like. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm no longer interested in being beautiful, or as they say now, looks maxing. Give me a break. Like most guys my age, I'm not chasing that ghost anymore, and it is a luxury to be out of that race. And you might think that I'm afforded that luxury because I'm married. And you would be right to an extent, like a 98% of that. But what you don't know about me, that 2%, is I've been to the mountaintop. And you might not believe me, but it's not for everyone. Yes, that's right. Here's a surprising little tidbit about me that you'd never expect. I was beautiful once, my junior year in college. I would say stunningly handsome if I didn't think that description fell short. This sounds braggadocious. Just stick with me, because it's true. Yes, I, yours truly, have walked the halls of beauty. I have basked in its golden light. I have felt its warm embrace for probably 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. I'm not entirely sure. Time was moving in slow motion for me, so it might have only been 5 minutes. That's not the important part. The important part is it happened. And like I said, I'm here to tell you it's not as wonderful as you might think. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, especially when it comes to beauty. So to tell you this story, I've got to back up and give you the setup, because it is an absolutely clutch part of this story. The year is 1991. My junior year at Purdue, spring break, 6 guys including me. We were all broke. Most of us had turned 21 that year, and we had already spent most our money drinking at bars. So our theme for this spring break was low budget. Now, I don't know how it is today, but back in the day, there were groups of business people that or companies that would purchase large blocks of rooms from hotels, and then they would resell them as week-long packages to college spring breakers at pretty decent prices. And this spring break, the hot spot was South Padre Island, Texas. So naturally, the 6 of us booked one room with 2 double beds. And if your math isn't mathin', then you're pretty good at math. Being low budget, the hope was that each night a couple of us would find somewhere else to crash. And worst case, if you were the last one back, you'd just be sleeping on the floor, which, when you're in college, was not that big of a deal. We also had a junker RV in the parking lot if things got really bad, but you didn't want to spend any more time in that RV than you had to. It was gross. The six of us drove that piece of junk from West Lafayette, Indiana, through New Orleans, and then all the way over to South Padre Island, Texas, and back. That's its own story. Maybe I'll tell that story later. It's got a pretty good twist. But after the adventure of getting there in that RV, we checked in at our hotel. I think it was the Sheridan. I'm almost positive it was the Sheridan in Padre Island, Texas. It was a big hotel, pretty nice, right on the beach. Man, that scene was jumping. It was 100% spring breakers, and everybody was rolling in at the same time, all juiced up, ready to go. When we checked in, the lady was clearly overwhelmed and didn't say anything to us. But when we got into the elevator, we noticed our room was on the top floor, and we were like, that's kind of cool. Maybe we can find some stuff to throw off the balcony. That's what college guys think about. But then, when we opened the door to our room, it wasn't one room with two beds in it. It was the penthouse. We had 2 bedrooms. We had a kitchen. We had a dining room. We had a giant living room with a couch that pulled out into a bed. We had a balcony that ran the entire length of the place, that overlooked a party that was full on raging at the hotel pool. We all jumped up and down for like 20 minutes. It was, there is nothing better than starting spring break, except for starting spring break by winning the lottery. And we had just won the lottery. We went from being low budget bros to the very top of the food chain. Our penthouse became party central for the entire week. We had parties every single day. It was awesome. So night 1, as soon as word got out, there were 50 Purdue people in our room, all screaming, all high-fiving. Nobody could believe our luck, including us. We got sauced up and decided to venture out. All of us lottery winners were riding this incredible wave of adrenaline. I mean, So we decided to hit the biggest bar in South Padre. I forget what the name of it was, but man, that place was a scene. It was a cliche spring break bar. And I don't know how it happened, but somehow I was guiding our massive group through this crowded bar. It was crowded, but there was enough room where we could make it through fairly easily. And I can tell you from memory, I was walking on air. The personal space that I was in felt like a dream, like we were moving in slow motion. All cylinders were firing. And as a group, I felt like to an extent we already owned Padre. I had never been that confident in my life. That's how dumb I was. I'm not kidding. That's when it started. This group of girls were smiling and giggling at our group as we rolled in, which is nothing big. But then I thought, maybe they were looking my way. Seemed like it. And then I remember thinking, yeah, we own this place. Again, very dumb on my part. I wasn't sure if they were looking at me, because that never happened to me. Unless my fly was undone or something like that, I wasn't the guy girls were craning their necks to take a look at. So I just assumed it was a misfire. But then I look over to the left, and there's another girl, and she's staring at me, straight at me, no question. And she's cute. And like I said, this never happened to me. I'm not being humble. I didn't know what to do. I literally had no game. So I did the only thing that I knew at that point. I did the tight-lipped nod. The tight-lipped nod is what dudes do to each other. You see a buddy in the hallway, but you've got nothing to say to him, so you give him the tight-lipped nod, and he gives you one back. That's enough for us guys. So I gave her the tight-lipped nod, and I kept making my way through the bar. It wasn't great, but it was all I had at that point. And I remember I was wearing this brand new J. Crew reversible sweatshirt type thing. And I thought, hey, I must look all right. I knew this shirt was awesome. I'm going to come back and talk to her after I get this beer. Incredible. And before I could even get excited, another girl was looking at me, straight at me. She was even better looking. Still, no game. So I gave her the tight-lipped nod, and then I thought, geez, I gotta come up with something a little bit better than the tight-lipped nod. And I also need to remember where she is so that I can come back and talk to her. She's cute. Then, literally 5 feet in back of her, another girl is staring at me. But this time it's different. Her boyfriend is staring at me too, giving me the hairy eyeball, trying to send me a message. It seems angry guy boyfriend must not be cool with his girlfriend checking me out. At least that's what it looked like from where I was standing. What on earth is going on here? I can tell you unequivocally, that has never happened before. I've been in a bunch of fights. That's what guys did back then, but never. You really want to beat me up because your girl is looking at me? Incredible. Incredible. You hate me because I'm beautiful? I could already see it. Hey, Parker, why did that guy want to fight you? It's every guy's dream to answer a question like that. His girlfriend was making eyes at me. So I'm absolutely loving everything about everything at this moment. This is what I considered to be the peak of my beauty. Once the jealous boyfriend wanted to throw hands, I'm not sure how to describe it. It made me so happy. My smile felt so powerful. And then combined with our ownership of this town, I felt bulletproof. So it shouldn't surprise you. Yet another girl was now giving me the eye. This one to the immediate right of the angry guy. My hope was that angry guy would notice another girl looking at me and then fall dead from a stroke. Does it get any better than that? But now, the stress of the logistics had entered the equation, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna talk to all these girls? Still, all I could do was smile. This was a completely foreign problem to me, and not more than 10 feet away from her, another girl is looking at me. A beautiful brunette. I can still see her in my mind's eye. Stunning. And let me tell you, The tight-lipped nod is history because now I'm giving a billion megawatt smile right back at her, and she's loving it. Within seconds, I chickened out of our incredible eye contact because honestly, I wasn't lying. I had zero game, and I'm playing way, way out of my league at this point. I literally don't know what to do, but in doing so, I lock into another beauty, a sporty girl with a baseball hat on. Oh, and she's locked in on me too. Go figure. So I give her the billion megawatt smile. Then when I chickened out of that eye contact, I couldn't help myself but go back to the stunning brunette. But now her smile's gone. The stunning brunette looks upset at me. She probably saw me smiling at megawatts at Sporty Girl. How do I tell her that Sporty Girl means nothing to me? It wasn't true. I think I was in love with Sporty Girl, but I was already prepared to lie to get out of that situation because I felt like I loved the stunning brunette too. And then I was like, geez, I don't even know those two. The logistics crept back in. How am I going to talk to all the other girls in this bar? There's only one of me, and most of them haven't even seen my billion megawatt smile yet. This is too much. Is this really happening to me? That's when the burden of beauty sank in. There's a cost. I'd walked maybe 100 feet through this bar and gotten more attention than I'd ever gotten in my life. I almost got into a fist fight. I'd love to give all the ladies in this bar a chance, but I don't want them fighting over me. I already feel like I'm in the doghouse with both the brunette and Sporty Girl at this point. So there's an opening in the bar, and I welcomed a chance to duck out of the mix, as silly as it sounds. I already needed a break from all the attention. I had no idea being beautiful could be so fatiguing. So I pull up to the bar and I turn around to my crew to see who wants what, as far as drinks goes. And this is who I see. If you're not watching the podcast, you're just listening, I'm showing a picture of my buddy Michael. And he's probably best described by, maybe suggesting a Viking made love to a lion and they had a baby. He was walking behind me the entire time. Nobody was looking at me. Nobody wanted to beat me up because their girlfriend couldn't stop looking at me. They were all looking at Michael. Angry guy wanted to beat up Michael, not me. But it didn't matter. I actually, along with the obvious disappointment, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you there was a smidgen of relief. I am not cut out for that racket. That was intense. That beautiful guy, Michael, is also an expert on aliens. He thinks they're here already. Maybe I'll have him on the show to give his take. It's pretty interesting. And it seems to be on most people's radar right now. I was in a happy hour discussion regarding aliens and colonizing Mars, and I couldn't believe it. Most everybody thinks aliens are here already. That surprised me. Honestly, I could care less about Mars. Only one person in the discussion thought that we should colonize Mars, and it was a nerd thing. Human redundancy to ensure species survival. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to keep it positive on this podcast, but what a terrible idea. I I get the survival thing. I think that's great. But have you guys seen Mars? Have you seen that Matt Damon movie, The Martian? That place sucks. Why on earth would you want to go there? I turned out to be the skeptic of the group, and they brought up the 3 UFO videos recorded by the Navy fighter pilots. They tracked these orb-like UFOs that were flying really fast against high winds, doing UFO type stuff. It seems to be the only videos that they don't have answers for, and that's what makes me nervous. Do you know the ones I'm talking about? Are those things spaceships or are they sensors? Because I hope to God they're just sensors. Because if they're spaceships, that means there's teeny guys inside of those things. Those teeny spaceships can only hold teeny guys. I'm going to have a real problem with that. And you can judge me. I deserve it. I'm just being honest. For me, it's going to be hard taking direction from little teeny guys. I don't know what that says about me, but that's what makes me nervous. And if you ask me why, we would have to take direction from little teeny guys. Well, let me tell you the 2 things I do know about aliens, or rather the 2 things that I have deduced about the aliens. I don't know if they're here, but I do know if they are here, they're awesome. They're awesome because they haven't killed us or taken our planet, which is the first things that jerk aliens would do. So I have to believe they're not here to kill us. They're peace-loving. And how do I know they're peace-loving? They have to be. Because it takes a tremendous technology to get from where they are to where we are. Any distance measured in light years, that's a challenge. If they were jerks, they'd kill each other in a world war before they could develop that kind of technology. Kind of like the path we're on here on Earth. The second thing I know about them is that if they are here with the technology that they have, if they wanted to, they could wipe us out in a heartbeat. If you think differently, you've watched too many movies. Remember, they traveled light years through space. We're still lighting our farts. It's no match. So if they're here, we're here at their discretion, with their permission. And like I said, I was telling this happy hour group how I'd be bummed to take orders from guys the size of gummy bears. And one of the ladies in the group thought that was immature. Like I said, I can't argue with that. But then she asked me a question. Well, what would you like the aliens to be like? Oh, I didn't have an answer because I'd never thought about it. What a great question. What would your dream alien invasion entail? What would you like the aliens to be like? So I've put some thought into it, and now I've got an answer. The exciting part is that it's revived 2 of my dreams that I had pretty much written off as impossible up until now. My 2 dreams One, my dog Olive, I've always wanted her life with better food. And two, I want to be carried around by a giant all the time. Like I carried my kids around when they were little. Both of those dreams I thought were impossible for obvious reasons until she brought up my dream aliens. My dream aliens would come down and say, hey, you guys, we got good news and bad news. The bad news is we're taking over your planet. The good news is that you and your family are safe and you're going to be our family pets. But before you freak out, you should know we will carry you everywhere and feed you a delicious diet of mostly fried foods. You will be able to nap all day anywhere you'd like. And if it's sunny out and you stand by the door, we'll let you outside so that you can nap outside in the sun. Nothing will be asked of you, although if you get excited when we come home from work and make us laugh, doing some goofy human stuff from time to time, you will be lavished with love. And you can also be assured anytime you walk up to us, we will give you a wonderful, loving, non-creepy back rub. We think you're really going to enjoy it. And I think I really would. My wife would be very upset about the fried food part, but she's just going to have to buck up because these are my dream aliens. They will definitely speak English. They're the smart ones. I have no interest in learning a new language, but to keep it entertaining, I'd like for them to have like big tongues or something like that where they mispronounce stuff left and right. Like calling Earth the Earth. Scratch that. I want them all to sound exactly like Antonio Banderas. Like Puss in Boots. That would be my dream aliens. What would my dream aliens look like? Just kidding. No way I would want them to be as beautiful as Michael. That would be way too much of a distraction. Maybe a couple notches below Michael. Pleasant looking. I don't want to ask for too much. The size of the aliens will be the most important aspect for carrying me, which is honestly what I'm most excited about in all of this. I figure I need them to be like 12 to 18 feet tall. I know those are some big dudes, but I'm 6'2", so I figure I need them to be 2 or 3 times bigger than me, just like I was 2 to 3 times bigger than my kids when I carried them around. And remember, they need to be giants because they're going to be carrying us everywhere, especially me. When my kids were little, I carried them everywhere. I walk fast, they walk slow. It just made sense. My middle guy would walk slow in front of me on purpose, so I'd grab him and throw him on my shoulders, which I was more than happy to do. But I can tell you, every time I hoisted up one of those little turkeys, I was half wishing I had a giant to carry me around. Just like most dads, the on the shoulders was the go-to carry in our family, especially after they learn that your face isn't the handlebars. But my favorite carry, absolute favorite carry, as soon as the kids got big enough, was a side saddle with a neck hook. I don't know if there's a name for it, but I've always called it my little monkey carry. Why? Because when they're that size, they're my little monkeys. The little monkey carry, I am telling you, you can haul a kid around in the little monkey carry for days. The secret is they're sitting side saddle on your hip, and arm isn't holding them up. It's just holding the little nugget against your hip. Your hip does all the work. And then when they hook their arm, that cute little hand around your neck, you know what that does? They're no longer dead weight. As soon as they hook your neck, they're helping. It's also the best interactive carry because the little cuties are right there with you and you can talk to them. That's how I'd have my alien carry me. Side saddle, neck hook. The little monkey carry. Love to be the little monkey to a giant alien. Obviously, my dream alien won't have a gross neck, and I like pulling my weight, so the little monkey carry it is. I could see us walking around farmers markets eating pastries. I could whisper cute things to my alien like my kids did to me. When we walk through farmers market, when we walk up to the honey booth, I could say, "Don't go in there, there's bees in there." When we're bored or waiting for a table for fun, my alien can throw me up in the air and then catch me with soft hands. He can come in behind me and zoom me up staircases that my little human legs are struggling against. When we go to parties and I see my favorite alien friends of theirs, I'll run up to them, raise my arms so they know to pick me up and put me in a little monkey carry. We'd have so much fun together. Will I have to worry about the economy or politics or AI? Nope. I would be an incredible pet to the right alien. I would embrace my new role. I can't tell you how many times I've walked up on my dog Olive, sleeping, and thought, I would love to be you. I can tell you, at a minimum, it's at least once a day. She takes naps all day long. She mostly follows the sun around. She has zero responsibility. She doesn't even know what a mortgage is. And all she has to do is just be excited to see us when we come home. That's it. That's her deal. Oh, and she also has to protect us. That's part of her deal too, although I'm not sure she even knows that part. She's never had to protect us. We've never been in danger. We live in a pretty safe spot. Oh, and I left out her best perk. Anytime she can find me, all she has to do is walk over and nudge me, and I'll stop what I'm doing just to scratch behind her ears and give her a good pet. You know why? Because I love her. I just love her so much. Back rubs, sadly, pretty much done for me unless I pay somebody to do it, which I'm too cheap to do, which is why I am super excited. My dream aliens will also be giving top-notch, non-creepy back rubs. Imagine this day. You wake up, you say good morning to your alien, and they rub your back for a couple minutes, and then you go down to the kitchen, get yourself some mozzarella sticks for breakfast. Then your alien takes you to a farmer's market and carries you around like a little monkey while you eat pastries. And after that, you get home and you're tuckered out, right? From all that action. Better take a nap. Better yet, an assortment of naps in the afternoon sun. Just follow the sun around the property. You've got zero responsibilities. Wake up around dinner, find my alien, get another back rub in, see what they're frying, maybe score some chicken tendies if it's a good night. Then take a stroll around the neighborhood to walk off dinner. Obviously, My alien will be carrying me after I get tired, probably 300 to 400 steps into the walk. Then after we get back, maybe a drink, maybe another non-creepy back rub, and then I'll sneak off to bed. If an alien could promise me those things, I would surrender quicker than France. Here's my keys, Mr. Alien. Can you imagine being lovingly carried around by a giant? We'll see. I've got my fingers crossed. If you've read my book, Progress, A Sophomoric Case for Optimism, you know I'm a giant fan of the double entendre. In case you didn't know what a double entendre was, in addition to being tricky to pronounce, it's one of life's great pleasures. It's a figure of speech with two meanings, one straightforward, the other one humorous, often in a risque or suggestive manner. I find them endlessly clever and funny. In fact, I told you guys I can track the downloads of my book, and the most popular chapter or episode by far is Everyone Loves Dick. And if you're coming in late, I recorded my book, Progress, A Sophomore Case for Optimism, as an audio book. But lucky for you, I've released it in a free podcast format. So each chapter is its own episode. It's available wherever you get your podcasts. It works well on Spotify. Okay, so yeah, you heard me right. The name of the most popular chapter in my book is Everybody Loves Dick, and it's entirely innocent, just like me. Is that not fantastic? And if you think I'm super immature and that I should grow up, and you could probably find people that would agree with you, but not necessarily me. The way I choose to look at it is, I'm 56. I'm enjoying 100% of the fun that life brings my way. I don't want to miss any of it, especially now when fun seems like it's harder to come by. Am I wrong? Plus, honestly, I don't think I have a choice. I think it's the way my brain is wired. I can't not see or notice a double entendre. It's just like when I see Clark Kent. I know he's Superman. The glasses aren't fooling me. I've never been able to get into Superman for that reason. Ever. I know I'm supposed to ignore that Clark is Superman with glasses, but I can't, even if I try. When Jimmy and Lois are freaking out about the latest emergency and they want to contact Superman, I always just threw my hands up. I was like, guys, he's right there. Clark is Superman. He's just wearing glasses. If you shut up, he can go take his glasses off and save the day. I could never not see Superman in Clark. Just like a double entendre. Even if it's a run-of-the-mill double entendre, I usually clock it. And recently, I was surprised and alarmed to discover that double entendres are like relationships. Apparently, you have to nurture them or they'll die. It's scary. I thought if they were funny enough, they would be self-sustaining. Not the case. Turns out, you need heroes like me to keep them fresh. Who'd have thunk I'd be using this podcast for the greater good? But here I am, chopping wood for the good guys. Because you'll see, this is important. Case in point, I was talking to some young guys I work with. By young, I mean they're in their late 20s. They told me they were going skiing. Naturally, I asked where. And they said Beaver Creek. And I was like, oh. You know the liquor store there is called Beaver Liquors. Neither one of them responded. They were just looking at me like, okay, liquor store, huh? So I tried to get it. Beaver Liquors? They sell t-shirts? I have one. I've been getting grief for it for 20 years. Still, both of them, vacant expressions. Nothing is registering. That's when I realized they didn't know the beaver double entendre. How does this happen? I immediately asked them if they'd seen the movie Naked Gun, and they hadn't. That's when I knew it was real and this was an emergency. Are you kidding me? Do you remember the scene I'm talking about? When Lisa Marie Presley climbs up a library ladder in a skirt until she's out of view, and Frank Drebin looks up and says, "Nice beaver." And then she says, "Thanks, I just had it stuffed." And hands him down a giant stuffed beaver. It's a cinematic masterpiece. It's things like this that make me question whether or not we're stewarding this younger generation properly. Obviously, I cleared that up. I'm not sure if either one of them bought a Beaver Liquors t-shirt. But the important thing is that now they're in the know. And then to really drive it home, I told them my beaver story. It said, oldie but a goodie. Everybody has a beaver story. Mine happened forever ago when I first started brokerage, back in the days when we still wore a suit and tie. That's how long ago it was. I had gone from the ownership side in real estate to the brokerage side, and I was touring an apartment property with my new boss. My new boss was a big deal in the Southeast market, and I was a young guy, lucky to get that gig, so I was really trying to impress him by being professional, and show him that he made the right choice. And so we were meeting with the owner's representatives to discuss the property. Long story short, we're trying to figure out how we could sell the deal for the best price. And part of that process is talking to the manager about the operations. So for privacy, we sat down in her office, which was a little too small for the meeting, but we did it anyway. There were just the 5 of us jammed in there. There were 4 of us in chairs opposite her desk. Of the 2 owners' representatives, I knew the younger one, Colin, and we had been friends for a while, but I had never met his boss, Paul, and it was Paul that was doing most of the talking. He asked the manager, "Hey, I noticed the fountain wasn't on. We just spent $5,000 fixing the pump on the fountain, and if we don't have that fountain on, the pond fills with algae. Why isn't your fountain on?" Well, it looked like the weight of the world entered the office and positioned itself on the manager's shoulders. She set her pen down and looked us square in the eye, said very seriously, "Gentlemen, I have a beaver problem." I heard it. I didn't flinch, though. I just stared straight ahead. Like I said, I was the new guy. My boss immediately asked if they were working with an exterminator to fix it. He just kept going. It went right over his head. He didn't even notice it. When it came to stuff like that, he was an adult. He was mature. I have never been. So after a minute or so had passed, I thought it might be safe to check on Colin to see if he'd heard what I heard. So I leaned forward and looked down at the other 2. Mistake. Both of them were cherry red. Oh, they heard it. They both looked like balloons that were gonna explode. They heard exactly what I heard, and they were just as immature as I was. The fear of unemployment was the only thing that held me together. But somehow, amazingly, we all got through the rest of that meeting without breaking. And we have been laughing about it ever since. That's the best kind of double entendre, the one where you can't laugh or you're in serious trouble, the one where it will blow everything up if somebody cracks. The story from Everybody Loves Dick, the chapter, it really happened about 20 times. As I mentioned earlier, and it bears repeating, when I tell you guys stories like this that might sound bad, it's important for you to understand my role in these stories, and that is the role of an innocent. You've probably already sensed that, but just remember, more than likely, I'm just an innocent, just a casual observer retelling the story. For instance, like I said, the Everybody Loves Dick origin story, it's a real thing. It first happened over Thanksgiving in Elgin, Illinois, probably 25, 30 years ago. It was a big family occasion. There were probably 10 or 12 of us at the dinner table and, just a regular, fun Thanksgiving meal. My mom was talking about enjoying the winter in Florida. They had just bought a place down there, and it was revealed in this conversation that the ladies in Florida love Dick. Perhaps I should explain. I have an uncle named Richard. Goes by Dick. Uncle Dick. Always has. Well, Uncle Dick winters in Florida, and at the time, he was a retired widower. He's an artist. He's handsome. He's charming. He's charismatic. He's a charismatic guy. And obviously, the ladies in Florida are going to love him, right? It's just how Mom worded it to the entire Thanksgiving table that the ladies in Florida love Dick. In fact, they didn't just love Dick. They were crazy about Dick. It was new phrasing for our dinner table. I heard it. I looked over at my brother to see if he heard the same thing, and he was already staring at me with wild eyes. I nodded to him that yes, I too had heard the filth that just came out of our sweet Midwestern mother's mouth. And then he proceeded to ask her loaded questions that made my sweet little mom say things that would make a sailor blush, things that I will not repeat here. And incredibly, things that nobody caught. It was amazing. After dinner, we were both like, did that just happen and nobody caught it? Well, a tradition was born. For 20 years, my brother would ask my mom about Dick and have her say the worst things at Thanksgiving dinner. It was amazing. Nobody ever caught it except for me and Dan. It was our own private, terrible joke. We eventually had to tell her what my brother was doing. Remember, I'm innocent. And she thought it was hilarious. She also, I told you, my Uncle Dick does ceramics. And he does these cool figurines and bowls and plates and stuff. And my mom has a collection of it. And to this day, she calls it her dickware. One of my dear friends and fellow partners in a real estate deal is an older guy named Dick. And when I worked in his office, you wouldn't believe some of the statements that went unnoticed. Sadly, The Dick double entendre is gonna die. Its days are numbered. There's nothing we can do. It's gonna die naturally, and I get it. Boys are still named Richard, but who's gonna call their kid Dick in this day and age? Although, I would pay money, good money, to watch somebody named Richard go into their HR department and say, hey, I'd like to change my business cards from Richard to Dick, and I'd like to be called Dick from now on. I would love to sit in that room. Would you get written up just for the request? I will leave you with this. There is a giant sporting goods store in the Southeast called Dick's Sporting Goods. Yeah. How would you like to be the HR person for Dick's Sporting Goods? Do you think they're busy? What do you think goes on in that HR office? All right, that's it for episode 2. My wife told me I need to keep these shorter, so there you go. You know what you can't stop? Progress. Until next time, see ya.